What is up, you guys? Hi, welcome back to my podcast, Rep&Reflect. I'm here with, introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Ben. What else do you need from me?
What do you do?
I'm a senior at
What's your
UH.
relation to the gym?
I'm a powerlifter. I powerlift for UH. I've gone to nationals, collegiate nationals 3 times. I'm also a coach in powerlifting. So
Where you
yeah,
coach at?
just personally. So I'll coach for the team if there's anybody on the team looking for coaching. Um, I coach them. Anybody has questions on the team as well, they come to me. Yeah.
And what's that like? Like you, cause you go to Yukio, right? Is that what's called?
Ukio, yeah, yeah,
Ukio.
yeah.
What is the like atmosphere there?
Yeah. I'd say it's like just powerlifting in general. So it's like a powerlifting, bodybuilding gym. It's pretty like positive, you know what I mean? I'd say in general the powerlifting community is pretty like welcoming and just encouraging. Like if you're new to it, a lot of people they're just very welcome to like answering any questions that you
Yeah.
have, pointing you in the right directions in terms of like finding a coach, making sure that you're like long term going to be set, heading down the right path. Yeah.
I guess for people who don't know, like, what's the difference between just regular like lifting at the gym and like powerlifting?
So I guess like regular lifting for like general health and wellness might be a little bit more focused on like hypertrophy, like building up certain muscle groups, making sure that you might be looking a certain way, or just just building up some kind of at a real very basic level, some type of strength that can like support you throughout your daily life. Powerlifting, it's a sport though. It consists of squat, bench, and deadlift. And the way the sport works is you have 3 attempts at each lift to register the highest amount of weight possible. Um, and then you compete in a weight class, and then the highest sum of all of those registered squat, bench, and deadlifts is called a total, and the highest total within that given weight class will win.
So would you say powerlifting's like part of that like high risk, high reward? Like, because I feel like a lot of people get hurt, right? Not
Uh,
really. If you do it wrong.
I mean, like, I guess at like a very face value, um, powerlifting is kind of like a high risk, high reward thing. Like, without like any type of like nuance, it's like at a face value, you're putting hundreds of pounds like on you, or and you're like, you know, muscular and skeletal system has to support all of that. So it's like, yeah, it's dangerous, right? If something goes the worst it can go, yeah, there's gonna be a lot of like catastrophic failure, maybe injury. But I think like that's kind of like like a outsider's perspective looking in on the
Comes with
sport.
like every sport, basically.
Right. But like, I think if you go about like the things within the sport, like lifting, training, nutrition, sleep, hydration, you kind of like factor in all of those things. I think there is a lot of like um there's not that much risk. Of course there's always going to be risk, but you can kind of mitigate that. I'd say like the kind of like the best ways to go about that is like, finding a coach, one that like knows what they're talking about. That's like, you've heard good things about within the community. And
Are you a good coach?
I think so. I mean, you can go ask anybody that I've been coached by, but like, I'd like to think that I drive progress with a minimal amount of injury.
With coaching, like, are you in charge of like, are you basically a personal trainer for them, or it's more so like what does
So
that entail?
yeah, so like the way coaching that I go about coaching and the way a lot of coaches will go about coaching is um, we work in kind of like 2 ways of giving athletes, right? The people that hire us, we give them programs, we send them out, and we update them weekly. Um, and then on top of that, we also, besides like just like dosing, I guess you could say of like exercises, we also will look at like the technical aspect. So they'll send us videos, and then we'll kind of look at it. We kind of have like a little bit more of a keen eye in terms of like what we look for in terms of like biomechanics and making sure you're moving safely and efficiently, right?
Right.
Um, so yeah, those are like kind of like the 2 parts, right? So let's say I give an athlete, right? There's like a Monday workout block, right? They go throughout the workout. They send me the videos that I ask for. I look at it. I say if it's good, I say good. Like, this looks great. If there's anything that I think that needs to be like technically changed, then I can, you know, send them a message back. And kind of just try and cue them and help them go a little bit more in the right direction.
So you wouldn't say like you would like suggest diet and stuff, or is that part of your job too? When you're coaching.
So I would never, um, I would kind of delegate. You know what I mean? I am a kinesiology major, but like besides that, I do like my own research, um, in a little bit more of like a specific powerlifting sense. But um, I like anything more beyond like basic macros or like stuff like that. I kind of tend to stay away from. The one thing I would say that I kind of would give my athletes though is like in powerlifting there's weight classes, right? So
Right.
there is like a lot of like cutting down into weight classes. So you're training at like
Or like bulking up.
not necessarily
More
bulking,
cutting.
but like you might train at like maybe let's say like 5 to 7 pounds higher than like what your actual weight class is, right? So that is one part of like nutrition that I did try and study a little bit more of and try to help out my athletes with, right? Is that like specific like week of like water loading and water cutting in terms of
So it's
like
kind of like wrestling and stuff like that
yeah,
in terms
I,
of like cutting.
oh yeah. I think like and there's like a whole like, stigma around weight cutting and stuff like that. But I do think that um the way it's like emphasized in powerlifting, it's a little bit healthier than like what you would go throughout in high school. You know what I
Right.
mean? In high school, you kind of
Chew gum for lunch.
or
Because my
yeah,
friends would do that. They'd like eat ice and chew gum for like a week to like
yeah. So
get to
for
their
yeah,
weight class.
yeah. So like I was in judo in high school as well, another weight class sport, and had a bunch of friends in wrestling. Grew up in jiu-jitsu as well. So I was always around like that, like oh, I'm not eating anything, like one meal a day, like
Right.
it's like canned tuna, um, and like now that I'm like a little bit more educated now, that's really not the best way to go
Right.
about cutting weight. So we try to like, you know, get the athletes to go throughout the weight cutting process as healthily as possible without like, obviously you're gonna be pulling some like nutrients, definitely pulling a lot
Yeah.
of water at the end, but like really just trying to like keep them dehydrated for as little time as possible.
When you say like you like in high school, like that used to be like your mindset was like
Hmm.
not the mindset, but like not eating, would you say that affected you like mentally?
Um, I mean, definitely. So like, I think about it like differently because like I know I'm very aware that there's like some people that like weight, body image, it definitely ties into their life like a lot more heavily than it did for me. Um, but I think it like affected me more from like a like physiological standpoint. It's because it's
Right.
um like I would
Well,
never be like oh like
you have a
I'm
headache.
so like oh I'm so fat like
Oh,
damn
okay.
you know what I mean like like if I'm on off season or anything. But like I would just be like if I was like cutting weight or something, I would never have to cut a ton. Maybe like the most I had to do was like 7 pounds or something. But I would, not be eating as much, drinking a little less
Like you'd
water.
always be tired or like
Oh yeah, it's like
yeah.
I'll be in class and I'm like putting my head down. I was a good student, I promise. But like I'll be putting my head down and like um I do remember this one instance that really stuck out to me. My Spanish teacher, shout out Senor Higashi Lee. But I'll be like putting my head down like this one time I remember specifically and she'd be like, hey, are you okay? I was like, I'm so sorry. I had to do an assignment last night and I have like negative water in my system. She was like, it's okay. I was like, damn, that's so real. But yeah, that was like the one thing I remember about cutting. It was like just like the craziest mental fog.
Mm.
And I do think that like trying to perform in like any type of like academic setting where you need to critically think, it's like super hard to like
And so like what do you do differently now like for cutting? Like compared to in high school?
right. So in high school, like you didn't really know much better. I think like everyone kind of knows, not everyone kind of knows, but like
They just think like, oh, starve.
it's like yeah, right? It's like calories in, calories out. Like just take the calories down to as close to zero as possible and make the water consumption as low as possible. But that's really like not the best way to go about it. Um, for us in powerlifting or like for the federations that I compete in, it's 2 hour weigh-in. So you weigh in and then you lift 2 hours later,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you don't really have a bunch of time to like rehydrate.
Right.
Whereas like um, maybe like if you use like the UFC as an example, they have 24-hour weigh-ins, right? So they have a lot more time to eat food,
Because a little
rehydrate.
bit more like physically
Yeah, a ton,
demanding.
right? So like if they're cutting like 20, 25 pounds plus, right? We're cutting maybe like at a maximum, I've heard someone do like 10, 12 pounds. So for
In
us,
wait,
yeah.
in 24 hours they cut 20 pounds?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So or like
Really?
sorry.
How do they do that?
So for like the UFC, right? They're gonna cut. They might not cut like maybe not like 20, 25 pounds in 24 hours, but like let's say they go throughout their training camp, right? And if they're like
Oh, like
they'll walk
throughout
around,
the okay, okay. I
but
thought you
like
meant
in
like
24 hours they'll cut like they'll cut
what, like
like
10 pounds?
nah, they'll cut more. They'll cut like 15, 17 pounds.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so it's like just dehydrating. I mean, they'll water load. So to get kind of back, so like the way they go about it and the way we go about it too now is we'll go throughout a water load and then if you really are like kind of overweight, they'll do what's called a gut cut, which is like it's not actually just starving yourself. You eat a lot. It's called like low
Like you
residue
eat
foods.
like empty calories basically.
No, you eat
No.
calories that like it sounds if I tell you like I'm like you eat peanut butter, chocolate, and ice cream. This you're like what? That sounds so fattening. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's just like it's low residue. So what that means is it runs through your system, right?
Oh, I see.
So you're like
Uh, okay.
shitting. You know what I
Oh,
mean? Like a lot. So that's like the gut cut part, but
like
like
natural laxatives.
pretty much, right? Stuff that like your body's not gonna like hold on to,
Mm.
in terms of like retaining a bunch of like sodium and stuff like that. But what we do for a water cut is we do what's called a water load. So like over like let's say you compete on like a Saturday or like a Sunday. Um, a week out, so like we'll start on Monday. You're gonna have like an excess amount of water that slowly increases to a peak, right? So like let's say Monday you start at like 2 gallons. Tuesday's two and a half. Wednesday and Thursday or Wednesday will be like 3. Thursday, Friday will be like 3.5, 3.5, and then on Saturday you'll cut it down to like a minimal amount, right? Like half a gallon, if lower, if like you're like way over. Um, and what that does is it kind of like manipulates your body. Your body starts releasing. I forget what the hormone is called, but it's a hormone that just makes you pee so much. I
Oh,
mean, obviously, right? You're drinking so much water, you're just
right.
pissing all day. So you just like keep like urinating, and then like when you cut out all the water, your body doesn't know to stop. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So you're just still peeing, and then that's like when the dehydration kind of kicks in, right? Um, yeah, and then through that process, usually people will lose anywhere from like 5 to 8 pounds of like water. Um, in terms of like if you're starting Monday, and then when you end on like Saturday, you'll lose from like 5 to 8 pounds.
What does Patty the Batty do? Like, I feel like he loses so much weight in such little time. I,
I see. I don't know about him. He's definitely like that.
Cause he gets like
Just say
fat.
fat. It's cool.
He gets
He
like
gets fat.
fat.
He gets fat. Yeah. Um. So I think him. It's kind of like a combination of like a slow like dialing in of the diet, right? And then also a gradual increase in physical activity. I don't think he's not doing anything when he's fat, but I definitely think like once you get into
Well,
camp,
he's still training, right?
yeah, he like has to be. But like once you get into camp, you're gonna be like obviously training a little bit more. Your diet's gonna be a little bit more locked in, or not training a little bit more. You're training way more, like 2, 3 days. Um, so that like kind of just like natural rising of like how much calories you're burning,
Right.
it's gonna like take off a bunch. But like um, he is also like pretty much everyone in the UFC. They're all doing that same water cut. You know what I mean? Um, But then they're like also taking advantage of like a bunch of other like dehydrating
Right.
techniques. So like sauna, Epsom salt baths, and then like the rotation that like a lot of fighters will do is like they'll like go on like I don't know, like an unsafe amount of time in Epsom salt. You'll come out and then you'll like lie on the floor and like you'll just get covered in like tinfoil and towels.
Huh?
Yeah. So because it keeps like the heat in, right? So you just sweat and you just do that until you make weight.
Ew.
Yeah, it's gross. So like that's like super unhealthy. Like your kidneys are like fucking failing
Right.
and shit.
Because they're working overtime.
Yeah. So like yeah, a lot of people you'll see them at like wins. They'll their coaches will be like helping them like walk. You know what I mean? Because you're just like so like deprived of any type of
But that's like
water.
UFC though, not
Yeah,
like
that's not for
that's like the
us.
extreme.
Yeah, because they have more time to rehydrate too, right?
Right. 24 hours,
Yeah.
right?
So for us, it's like
2 hours.
it's 2 hours, but like people will still blow up. Like you'll see them gain like 5, 7, 8 pounds in like the 2 hours. You know what I mean? Just like for us, it's like
From drinking all the water.
so you actually don't want to drink a lot of water.
Oh, because you're gonna piss your pants.
Or shit liquid.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah. No, but for us it's like um a lot of like electrolytes, right? That's like probably the most important thing for a powerlifter. Just like thinking about like the way um muscles contract, right? You need
Right.
like potassium, sodium, stuff like that. So a lot of people they'll bring like Pedialyte or something. They'll pound that after, and then you want to have some type of like fast digesting carbohydrate and like fast digesting like protein. Maybe not too much. You know what I mean? Not too much protein. That's more like a personal preference. But you kind of go like eat your meal as fast as you can so you have like time to digest.
Right.
Um, and yeah, and from that, and then you like obviously you're sipping water, sipping whatever else electrolytes you have in your like protocol for cutting. So yeah, thankfully I've never had to cut a bunch of weight, so I've never had to,
Do the
or for
extreme.
yeah, do the extreme of like going throughout that process. It's always been like pretty chill, like 3, 4 pounds at
Right.
most. Um, but yeah, not a fun time. Um, yeah.
Would you say like cuz you go to like both like powerlifting gyms and then you also go to like regular gyms?
hmm
Would you say like you notice like well I guess like for you like what's your definition of like gym culture like in general?
Um, I mean, there's definitely like a difference, right? I feel like gym culture, like if you're just out and about at like our 24s or something,
Right.
it's kind of different because it's like such like a melting pot of
Each
culture.
place has its own vibe, right?
Like
Like they
yeah,
always
like
have like those stereotypes of like Planet Fitness is like weird.
I don't know, I've never been.
I
Have you
hear
been?
because they have like what is it the gunker buzzer. Do you
Oh,
know?
the lunk alarm. I know.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
what is it called?
The lunk alarm.
Lunk alarm. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Gunker buzzer. Yeah, lunk alarm. They have like that,
Yeah.
and then like obviously like I go to like a smaller gym, so it's just
Right.
all like wholesome old people
Oh,
versus like 24s, which I feel like is a zoo. Like you know what I'm talking about? Like each like
yeah.
has its own stereotype.
Yeah. I think like y wherever you go, obviously the culture is gonna change, but and I think that's kind of important, like to consider for anyone that's trying to like choose a gym. You know what I mean? You get like at least be open if you're like serious about like like not even powerlifting, but like just like being consistent, like making sure you can go to a place where you enjoy it. You know what I mean? Like you
Right.
feel welcome, because like not everywhere is gonna have a culture that's good for you, and
Mhm.
that's like nothing wrong with that.
Right.
It's just like that's just like how it is.
That's like life.
Yeah. So to answer your question though, there is a difference between like a 24s and then
And
like
Ukyo.
Ukyo, like definitely for sure, because like I say if you like I've been to powerlifting gyms like all over, not all over the country. I've been to like one in Texas and then one in
Atlanta,
Atlanta.
obviously.
Um, but yeah, like pretty much if you go to any powerlifting gym, I'd say people are gonna be very welcoming. A lot more social
Right.
than like 24s.
Because it's a little bit more like more of a niche versus like people who go to like a
Yeah,
commercial gym. Like everyone's there for like different
right.
reasons.
And it's like you're all part of like the same niche, and it's like definitely like more of like a communal kind
Right.
of sense. But like, yeah, if you go to like 24s, it's like everyone has their own thing, like you were saying. Like there's basketball players,
Right.
bodybuilders, powerlifters. Like, it might like if you were like new to the gym, right? Just like looking in, it might be like super overwhelming, especially if you like on top of that, you're like a little bit more socially anxious. You know what I mean? It's like,
Right.
damn, like like where do I
Where do you
go?
start?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like is it okay to talk to people? Um, yeah, so that's one thing that I didn't go to. I've been to 24s before, but I was never there like for a super long time. But that is one thing I noticed. Like everyone's like
More to
kind of
themselves.
yeah, way
Yeah.
more to themselves. Yeah,
What would you say is like toxic gym culture and like have you noticed it?
like toxic. I think there's like definitely there's definitely toxic gym culture, but it's
Right.
like
Like ego lifters and stuff.
oh um
No.
I mean it's like if you're ego lifting, you're ego lifting. You know, like
Right.
that doesn't affect me. You know what I mean?
Mm.
I'll look at it. I'll be like, damn, bro, maybe to look after yourself, you
Well,
shouldn't
I
do
guess
that.
like if someone's like Quinn does this, but like he'll go up to kids and be like, "Bro, you're doing that wrong."
Okay, now see, Quinn doing too much.
Yeah.
Like,
He'll be like, "You're using straps, fucking pussy." Sorry. Yeah.
oh my
Like
God,
he'll
you
he'll
cussing on the podcast? That's crazy.
sorry.
Nah.
But yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
uh, damn, Quinn really be doing that
yeah.
to randoms?
Yeah. Like
That's
high schoolers.
insane.
So it's just like
Nah,
is that helping or is that like toxic
I
gym
think
culture? You
it's
know what I mean?
like I think he means well.
There's a way to go
I hope
about
he
it.
means well. Yeah, cause like I've definitely been doing something, and like people have approached me like, "Hey, bro, you're not doing that correctly." I'm like, "Bro, I did not ask." Respectfully, you know what I
Right.
mean? I didn't say that out loud. I'll be like, "Oh, thank you," like, cool. But like, kind of to go back to like the other point of everyone's there for the different reasons. Don't be going up to random people talking
Right.
about like you doing
Yeah.
this wrong. Like,
There's a
ev-
way to go about it for sure.
yeah, like, and then in terms of like ego lifting, I don't mind it. Like, big picture, at the end of the day, you in the gym, you getting after it. That's good for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true, true, true.
So I'm not gonna hate on that of like someone like being active. Like, God
Yeah.
forbid you try to be healthy. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, I do think that there's like if you go to like one thing I will say though is if you go to like a powerlifting gym, right? Like the smaller ones, or not smaller ones, I'm sorry, but like just any powerlifting gym. Um, I will say that like since like it's a lot of like friend groups
Mm.
that will go to the gym together, right? You'll like it might feel a little bit clicky. I'm not saying that's
Oh,
necessarily
I
like
see. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
toxic or
Like
anything.
people just like know they have their
There's like
own
groups, you
little,
know what I mean?
yeah,
And like it may be like hard to
meet other
like
people.
yeah, like meet other people or like, you know, feel comfortable going up because it's like it's just everyone's so like
Right.
close. But I will say, at least from what I've experienced, like people are usually like very accepting. You know what I mean, not like oh like come join our group, but like if you have a question, like
They're
I think
chill about
you
it.
should definitely ask.
Yeah.
Um, Bigger gyms, 24s, I really try not to talk to anybody. I'm
Yeah.
like I'm not trying to bother you. You got your own thing going on. I got my own thing
Right.
going on. But yeah.
Have you seen like the use of like steroids in powerlifting or no?
Um,
Or like in general?
I've seen, yeah, for sure. I've seen the use of steroids. Not like in depth, like I'm watching someone like pin
But like
themselves, but
you've
like
seen like people use it,
yeah, yeah, yeah. In terms of like for powerlifting,
or it's just in general.
yeah, um,
And like what is your opinion on that?
oh, okay. So I think I have like very like differing opinions. I also do, I compete in like jujitsu and stuff like that, and just within like the community, like steroids is not tested for, and it's like very like open that like a lot of people will use that
Right.
within that sport, right? So I think within that, it's like if they're not testing for it, cool. But I do think that like in that sport, right, particularly, it's like okay, like this is more of like a it's a contact sport. Like peop people's health are is like on the line a lot more than it
Right.
is like in powerlifting, so to speak. So I think that like for that, you might wanna. I would say like I don't encourage it for that. But I think
Yeah.
for powerlifting, you know what I mean. There's like two different sides of it.
Do
There's like
what
the
you gotta do.
no, because there's like the untested and the tested side,
Mm.
right? So like I compete in like tested federations. That's like what UH associates with, right? So if you go to a meet, there's like random drug testing. Um, if you're like super good, you get like put your name put on a list, and like people can like come to your house, like
Mm.
random drug test you like that. Um, so I think if you're like if you're doing steroids and that, you're like purposely like going on your way to
Right.
like pass drug tests, but you're like, bro, like like
Like, what
morally,
are we
like
doing?
what are we
Yeah.
doing? But if you're on the untested side, it's like if you are educated on like the risks that come with whatever substance
Then,
you're
like, you do
taking,
you.
yeah, like I'm not gonna be like this guy's using
Yeah.
steroids, like boo,
Right.
like bro, like all right,
Just
you're probably strong, like cool, like yeah, I'm not like super against it like that, yeah.
okay. Well, thank you. I
Oh,
appreciate your time.
no
That's a good
problem.
point. Like a part to stop.
Oh,
But yeah. So thank you, and we'll see you next time.
thank you.